for Wednesday, 3:15, the Ides of March. And 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago, we did the Ides of Oberon was our opening system. Uh, so we've been having that a lot of fun. So here we are, 3:15, and we're continuing our growth on the Daily Spell. I want to thank you all for having us every evening. Monday through Friday, we've been coming to you with all sorts of shows, and we've been doing it for a while. People have asked me about Pagan Nightly News. That needs a bigger crew. Let me go ahead and tell you, I want to do Pagan Nightly News or Pagan News in general. It takes a lot larger crew, and we have yet to organize that. Now that we've gotten a lot more independent, as you know, Pagan Pride, Pagan World Project is an independent project, and I happen to be fortunate. I have a fantastic team that works with us in a visionary way to kind of build and think about ideas across the board. We're going to have Father Dee, hopefully, who's supposed in, and he's probably just running a few minutes late. With that, yeah. So there we go, and he's going to talk to us about Revelations, his new show. I did his first episode, but we'll leave for that. So, other information for those of you who have been following the omnibus journey that Lord Don has been on, he has sent out all of the Archpriest books that you can get, and we are now deep into sending out the Kickstarter books. And if you go onto the site right now, you can pre-order the new trade paperback version of the Super Omnibus of Spells and Incantations. And so there we have that. So we're looking at. So I'm going to start out today. Today I have a bit of a rant. I generally do have rants, and what I mean by that is I have these ideas that get caught in my head, and normally I don't express them in big ways. I do it in little ways. And today's rant is why are the people not more curious? I'm finding a terrible lack of curiosity, and it's always been a hard commodity. I am a curious human. So that's why I'm not so much a Lord Order. People who will call me a bit of chaos. I've been just recently called I'm a force of chaos. I'm chaotic. I mean, they use all these words to say that I'm curious and I change things and I work on things all the time. And in that process, I throw into order some of the questions, around things like why do we do things? Why do things happen? And in fact, I spend a lot of time and a lot of my energy on changing the way we perceive the world. Because the biggest thing we have is magic is words. Let us go ahead and say magic is words. And words are repetitive. Everyone will go, oh, words are repetitive. You keep saying them over and over again. And people will generally accept them. The concepts of the big lie, the process to repeat. How many times do you have to hear something before you actually hear it? 23 times if it's commercial. So we have this idea of repetitive. Because if we can get everybody repeating the same mantras, the same rules, the same everything, oh, this is what a pagan means, this is what a witch means, this is what a Christian means, this is what a dog means, even. And even there, we are constantly defining our words as models, as restrictions. But then words are regenerative, means they generate the reality that you want. You can't be otherwise. I mean, in order for something to exist, it first has to exist in your imagination or somebody's imagination. Then they have to plant it into other minds through some form of communication. And then we all have to agree to it. And that becomes then the regenerative process. Whole traditions are built out of this. The entire Wicca magic movement of the modern era is because of this regenerative process that we started to do books and energy and more books. And energy and sort of that sort of thing. So we have energy in there. We put books out. We write more and more things to reinforce our ideas. We use words first to be regenerative, then constructive or reconstructive, and then binding. So we want words to be binding. And so where's words finally in binding? It's called the law. We write these ideas or concepts, which are no more binding than anything else, but we use it as a way to bind each other. The binding of the world is through, and you hear it oftentimes, the law, God's law, Christian law, government law, tradition law. Any type of law you have in that place is a very powerful thing. What laws per se of your life? And it's not like we can ignore these laws. They said the law of physics. Well, we're finding out that those are pretty pliable too. The law of gravity. Well, Gravity is the law. Well, yeah, we now know that it is. At least for us right now, we might find rules out of it, but most thing around us is about stories. Let's get deep into this really quick. So we are into stories right now that are very powerful, very telling. So the biggest story that we've ever told ourselves, everybody's heard this, is money. Money is the greatest story ever told by man. That money is the cause and root and heart of everything. All hail mammon. But money is the single most powerful story in our world because it is in control of the story. That the better we tell that story, the more resources we get. However, we tell that story and work that story is how we earn money. And that's the most important story. But other stories are around there too. We love Santa Claus. We love fairy tales. We love all of these stories that are that. And then we have our family stories. And then just recently, I've been blessed with getting some pictures from one of my cousins that I haven't seen in years. I haven't seen him in ages. And I was able to tell a story of my family. One of the more famous stories of my family to another generation through these pictures. So these pictures became symbolic of a family that once existed and now still lives in us. That which remembered lives. So why aren't we doing more of that? That which remembered lives. So what is it that we're trying to do in our words, in our energies, in our thoughts, in our capabilities? Um, there we go. All of that is true. All of these things happen. All of these things do it because of words. What if we had no words? What would you? Um, and when we don't have words, we use music, we use vibrations, we use sounds, we use hand mechanisms. So when we can't use our words, we still communicate. And surprisingly, we communicate a lot based on the idea of how it works, how it is there, how we are energetic towards it. So when we talk about spells, we're really talking about words. And we're talking about how words affect the universe, vibrations affect the universe. Tesla said it best. You know, the universe is made up of energy, vibrations, and frequencies. And if you can understand that, then you can understand the universe, and that all of that is combined. So this is where it is. I apologize to everybody. I don't know what happened with Father D. He should be. He said he'd be there in a minute, but no. Uh, who knows? Um, So yeah, it happens with live television, live radio. So this is live television. That's so cool. Um, so let me go ahead and change subjects really quick. I should have backup stuff prepared for this. We're just going to get it. Let me talk a little bit about Pagan World Project. So it's the act of telepathy. Hi, Kathleen. So let me go ahead and talk about Pagan World Project. We are a communication project you've never seen before. This is my next step. I'm becoming CEO of Pagan World Project. And what it is, it really is all about communication. How are we going to communicate better with everybody? What do you need to communicate better? What do you need right now to be more attached to your community? How much more do you want to see it envelope and how much do you want to see it expand? The energy that we have to decide is how much more we want to expand our presence in the world. um, and so it's good to see you, Sador. We're talking about that sort of thing. How much do you want to be seen in the world? How much do you want to respect being in the world? How much is the world important to you? And that it is. For some people, it's really not that important. In fact, the majority of people, we're based on the whole principle is that we're trying to escape our everyday mundane, what we call the mundane life, the simple baseline of our lives. We're constantly trying to escape it. And that is through various forms of entertainment, exercises, and everything else. Remember, everything else beyond your consumption of food, safety of your body, the warmth of your body, then the warmth of your mates and others so that you can have a family and the security of your home, wherever that space may be. And for different people, it's different ways. I like hamster nests. Uh, there you go, Sherry. Um, that you have these homes. So you have food and home and shelter and warmth and safety. That's the human animal dream. That's the animalistic part of ourselves. That's the deepest part of ourselves. That's all that's really required of us to exist. To be able to eat and drink and be warm or cold or safe, whatever way we need it at that moment, and protect our families and allow us to regenerate more family that we could feed, house, keep warm, keep safe, and keep going. That is literally our genetic makeup. That's what we do. This is what Gaia wants us to do. Hmm? Absolutely, there's more of the mind, but let's go ahead. The mind is a very different capacity. That's what makes us humans. But let's not forget what we really need. Mhm. So the minimal need. Now, of course, we have tons of cravings. We have tons of things we want. I mean, we want more than we've ever imagined. We have more than we could ever possibly conceive at any point in history. Heck, I joked as a kid about having a television station. I have a television station. And I'm a big architect. I love building things and have other people on it. Uh, and so there it is. So everything on top of that platform I just talked about is really the mind, the imagination, our equipping to basically tell ourselves stories and bring those stories out of our imagination internally to the world externally, and so that people can see it. And that's been magic, and that's art. That's everything we do. Everything human beings do is an art of being. But we use engineering, we use science, we use magic, we use all these different tools, and all of them come down to the ability to communicate. So when the ability to communicate changes, then everything changes. It becomes something different. It becomes something more. Hmm? So it becomes incredibly interesting, isn't it all? No, I don't want any of that. I was looking for this. Um, so, what is it that you want? I want to hear people. So, I want to get back to asking more questions. I'm going to start asking more questions here soon. If you don't know it, on my Facebook page, I ask questions almost on a daily basis. I go through huge stints of communications online, and I talk, and I exist, and you know, I do these things. We're going to send this one more time. We're going to try one more time to get D, and if we don't, well, another night. He's doing great work, but it is hard for people to do things because what can we say? It takes a lot of work. All right, here we go. We're going to send him this. This is the fun of live television, and I want to get more authentic with this. I think we are going to. We've been doing the stiff, old-fashioned radio style of it. People are like, have just walked away. I got that. Right there we go. We're back. Um, so there we go. So we talk a lot about questions. We do a lot of the energy questions. So okay, let's get into words because words are about to change everything. We can now translate words into pictures with our handy dandy AI tools. Chapter 4.0 came out. Lots of other tools are out there. The world is changing the way we communicate. And so we're communicating in a very different way now. And that is, through multiple channels. So I am so excited about it. And so, yeah, people like radio style. Good. I want to make up my mind the first time when developing labels and not second guess myself. That's the creative heart. All right, here we go. Can we? There we go. Can we hear you? Oh, there you go. Can we? So, making labels sometimes that's what we call A/B shit testing. Uh, this is Earth calling Father D. Earth calling Father D. You have something going on in your background.
Mm.
Uh huh. Yeah, we're having a sound check. Oh my gosh. Uh,
One second.
Here, I'll bring you back on in a minute.
Is this better?
Oh, much better.
Okay. I couldn't say for I was saying something, but I couldn't hear you. I mean, or you couldn't hear
Uh,
me.
yeah, I couldn't. All right, there we go. Hi, D.
Hello,
Uh,
how are you?
oh, good. Now we see you. Everything else good. We've been just blathering out about the power of words and magic, and my rant about how we need to use our words better.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, just the idea that words are regenerative. The idea of the concept of words are regenerative. We talk about words being restrictive, i.e., we try to use them to identify the smallest possible ideas, right? Like what's a dog? Then we have an idea of a four-legged creature.
Hmm.
But just from that description alone, it was not enough to tell if it's a dog or a cat. So we have more words. We keep adding to words to restrict our language so that people can picture things very that. But actually, words are also regenerative. We regenerate the world through our words.
Mm,
We things that we do, such as your show, Father Dee Revelations. It's regenerative. You decide you want to do it. And we've done that, and now we've had our first episode out, and the second
right.
one's coming out. So let me introduce you, Father D. We call it. This is him. He's a longtime leader in his community, which is heathens. No, I'm kidding. I am kidding. It is not. It's
Heathens.
well, it is heathens, right? I guess.
Yeah,
How would
some
you
of
just?
them are actually. It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's a lot of like it's indigenous. It's a cross between heathenry and what would be what people would consider like traditional witchcraft.
Okay. Well,
Some
why
of
don't
that
you go?
is really, but some of that is really just words, I think, after a while too.
Yeah. But go ahead. And so, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it? It
So
sounds
well,
good.
the Hellenic Alexandrian tradition is some people call themselves like Olympians or such, more so than like Hellenists. We have a lot in common with those that consider themselves like Hellenic polytheists because we are polytheists. But as far as the whole notion of like whether you're hard polytheist, meaning that everything is completely separated, or soft polytheist, meaning that there's some connection between the things, we don't get too wrapped up in a lot of that. That starts to rob the spirit away
I
when you go.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But tonight, I think we're going to talk a little bit away from that, the idea of justice. We've been talking a lot about what justice is versus equality and equity. Um,
Hmm.
in your most recent show, which is coming up this weekend, we're going to be showing it this weekend. Um, you were talking to John Anastasia, a songwriter,
Right.
about how he perceives it. And in your
Right.
first episode, we talked about racism, about how to be, being raised as a racist. What do people not know about? How does it look from the inside? Why does it keep perpetuating? And you were able to take that on. So, can we talk to you? So, I want people to know what is your this idea of justice and just kind of and talking to it. I mean, you're one of the few people who are talking to real justice now.
I have a strong sense of justice. I think maybe that plays that's kind
Mhm.
of good and bad for me, maybe depending on what the situation is. But I'm also the person that just thinks that half the time that there's a lot of people could have avoided a lot of conflict had someone just apologized. um, and to me that's a matter of justice. It's just the admittance that something was wrong or something. um, Justice is also about, I think, just in the sense of balancing the scales. And so like for these television, for like these programs that we're doing, it's really um, giving some perspectives that generally either get lost or they can get intentionally buried, that people just don't want to talk about it, or they have their thoughts on it but they're not really listening, and they've never met anybody that is knee deep or was raised in a white supremacist environment, or something like that. So I think that's the part that really grabs it, is that kind of like realignment. It's a realignment of truth in many respects.
And if you do have stories, send a paganworldtv@gmail.com if you have a story that you think that Father D should be looking at. What type of stories are you wanting to do? So we wrap up these two first specials. We're calling the not series as the specials because this is not something you want to try to grind out because it's not a formula. It's something
Right.
very deep, and you want to cover them when you want to cover them.
Right. Yeah. I try not to I try not to have a certain just something that's coming out formulaic. It's week after week. When there's something there, like when there's a topic or there's something there, that's usually the time to get on it. Um, what kinds of things looking for is I would say things that would make some impact in our community, meaning pagan spiritual, meaning like the occult community. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is things that you wouldn't necessarily hear about all the time. Um, you know, from sexual assaults with various covens to people's, certain political opinions and beliefs that maybe take too far, that ultimately may have destroyed a group. That's good stuff to me. That's very important stuff to be able to put out there.
So the dark, shadowy stuff is the stuff that just people don't really want to take on. But in order for us to improve as a community, for us in order to and maybe individually hear some of these stories and
Right,
to recognize that it comes down to.
right.
I think that's a very important part of the idea of it. I think that it is there. How do we get your strength up? How do you get up your
Mhm.
energy? And that sort of thing. So, okay, let's go ahead and cover another piece that you're doing. You're going down to PaganaCon, and this weekend you're going to be experimenting along with all of us more live TV on Pagan World.
Yes,
Uh,
I am leaving. Actually, and at like what 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the airport, and I should be in Minneapolis probably about 8 or 9 in the morning.
Wait,
And
you're not going to drive like a maniac through the night?
no, no, I'm going to fly in the early morning. um, but it should be this should be a decent Paganicon. The theme for this year is on transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So my a part of my what I plan to be filming and talking about are people's transformations from one thing to another. For some people, it might be as something simple as to that's their first Paganicon and what they feel has happened to them as a result of that. That
Mm-hmm.
happens all the time. You come to some place and you just have that experience. It happens at gathering. When you're at when you're at a really good gathering, and you have that good gathering energy, then that's supposed to happen, and that's very magical. That's something. That's like stuff to remember. Um, I'm excited to see some of the guests like Christopher Penzak. I'm going to get a
Mm-hmm.
couple. I'm going to get a book autograph. And I'm going to see if I can try to get a video interview with him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if anything, it's because it's Christopher Penzak. It's a name.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he we're in a day and age now with our we need to that when we see talent and when we see our elders and when we see people in the community, we need to take notice. We need to actually make sure that we're being supportive, not just oh, okay, cool, that's
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Penzak, or I like this person, I'm going to get a couple of autographs, but I've read better books than his. I mean, stuff like that doesn't matter. And maybe I have read better books than Christopher Penzak, but Christopher Penzak has a really big following. He took a lot. We've talked about this ourselves. He took a lot of information from high magic, low magic, ceremonial, traditional shamanism, and created a series of books that really was able to get someone that's kind of like the new Cunningham, for someone who is not a part of a group or a tradition or a magical order or something. And so they could get his books and really have a good foundation. I mean, if you're doing the work out of there, there's an entire like traditional system. based out of
Oh,
there.
absolutely. Penzak has done a really great job building his
Hmm.
system. He was one of the first to go independent publishing. He has his own center. Uh,
Hmm.
I love his booth at Pagan Pride. And Lori Blackman said Chris is a great interview. So he is a great interview. And he's done amazing work, especially I think in the area of gay rights. I think he is a gay as a
Hmm.
gay witch. He's really been right out there with his multiple husbands. Um, I mean, really is a spokesman and a model of community, and I love listening to him speak. He's a very hard person to get on tape for his classes because they are works of art. A Penzak class is not like everybody else's class. They're not just talking off a cliff. It is a art performance. It is a model of beauty and grace of words, and
Um,
every word is very deliberate. His speeches. So I only stand in awe because I could not do what he does. Um, but he has a great interview and everything else. And also, Andres Arson is going to be out there.
hmm
And I think
Yeah.
that's
So
a
the year from the European Congress of World Religions.
vice. He's the former vice chairman of the Parliament of World Religions itself. This man is like the one of the. I think the truth is, I think he's one of the most hidden leaders we've got. I mean, he's the most powerful leader we have that is hidden in plain sight.
Hmm.
I don't think a lot of people know who he is. I mean, he's just right there, but he's in the thick of it. I mean, he works deeply in the indigenous rights, the kind of the restoration of pagan indigenous rights. And it's hard for Americans to think of the idea of paganism as indigenous, having any
Right.
component indigenous. And this is where your faith comes in because you practice it out. You're not from like the conversion teams like me. Yeah. Yay. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm part of the conversion. I am part of the great shifting of our society. I was Christian. My family's been Christian for more years and decades, probably than I care to mention. Oh yeah, right back to New England,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. But now I'm in there. I'm a Wiccan. I'm right reverend. I'm an elder in my tradition. I've worked really hard. But you don't. That's not your path, right?
No, no, I was discovered. I was found
Hmm.
in Omaha, Nebraska, 30 some years ago,
Hmm.
by a lot of foreign nationals. So it was people from Greece and Hungary, like some Hungarian shamans. I
Hmm.
loved those people, and some Serbians and a lot of Indo-European faith. And so
Hmm.
they that's the roots of Hellenic Alexandrian.
Hmm.
That was also before it was really called Hellenic Alexandrian. Also, I think that was something that actually like came to be. But no, yeah, a lot of this. I mean, for me coming in, it was always very much life and tradition and culture,
Hmm.
and all of that had a deep impact on your religious spirituality. So from the get go, yeah, it was a lot of every magical lesson was oriented with the cultural um, the cultural tradition and that surrounded that. And that's an interesting place to be also because you learn a lot. You can
Hmm.
learn a lot and go into a lot of different directions when you have a personal connection with deity, and you can also embrace the cultural aspect of that deity at the same time.
So, so what are you going to be teaching out there at Paganicon? I know you're also a teacher. You're not just there to attend, but you are actually teaching.
Yes, there is. I'm doing a workshop called The Transformation of Medusa from Gorgon to Goddess to Great Mother.
Hmm.
That's like Sunday. That should be fun. I'm actually looking forward to that. There's someone else that's going to be doing something on Medusa also, but she's doing something that's in a different, like in a different, like in a completely different vein. And I may actually see also if I can get to if that woman would allow me to record her,
Hmm.
just because you don't find that many people that embrace Medusa, let alone to put together
Hmm.
workshops, like teaching, instructing workshops in a
Hmm.
public setting to actually do that. So I think that's something I'm really looking forward to also. We have a Greco Buddhist ritual on Saturday morning. We do one of those every year. Saraswati is always the or has been the our Hindu um, person. Like our Hindu goddess,
Hmm.
and we will change the Greek. We use God, and we try to keep just to use two feminine, just to use like double feminine in most of these rituals also. So the first year it was Saraswati and Aphrodite. Last year it was Saraswati and Hera. This year it is Saraswati and Tethys, the mother of oceans. So that should be fun. That should be very enlightening for people. And it's on Saturday morning, so to get people woke up, and then just get them going and get them fed and get them, jazzed up to go out and enjoy Paganican.
There you go. And if we see a huge storm around Minneapolis on Saturday, late Saturday morning, we know what caused it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's
uh,
my fault.
there you go. So we're going to see some live broadcasting. Hopefully, we're going to experiment with live broadcasting for
Yep.
Pagonicon, and
Mhm.
Dee will be out there, and
Yep.
you'll see it.
We got live interviews coming from our POC suite, our Pagans of
Yeah.
Color and Culture suite. So we'll be having Sister Cleo Ajana, who is a numerologist,
Hmm.
and one of our priestess here at Hellenic Alexandrian. There's Hia, Sandra Santiago. She's from Chicago, and she is Santeria,
Hmm.
and so she'll be there the entire weekend also, and we'll get some interviews and get. I mean, these are people I've known for 6 7 years or more, so I know the answers to all the questions I'm going to be asking, but I just know how to ask the right questions.
Maybe,
But
maybe,
but
maybe maybe you'll find out new answers. You never
yes,
know.
exactly. But it'll be fun though, yeah, because I want to be able to let other people know um what types of special stuff is around in the community.
Hmm.
So, and if there are people around Paganacon that want to be interviewed or just have something to say, then you may end up seeing some of those interviews also. So
Oh,
I anticipate it to be a good weekend.
and so do I. We're going to have a lot of fun. So,
Hmm.
get you up in a couple of hours and everything else. But I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Um, and would you close us with a prayer?
Certainly, certainly. Heavenly Mother and Father, thank you for keeping us through the day, for keeping us fed and well as always. And as we all venture for to conclude the day, may we keep all that we have learned here and we keep it sacred and we learn from it and grow spiritually and as a community. So mote it be.
And thank you, folks. And we'll be back tomorrow night with Tarot Thursday and Friday. The world has changed. AI. We're going to talk AI part two
That
with
should
our.
be fun.
Oh yeah, it's changed. Chat 4.0 came in today, but I'm not going to do it. On Friday we'll talk about that tomorrow. Tarot. Tonight we've been with Father Dee of Revelations, and as he prepares to go to Pagonicon and spread the faith. Have a great night, folks, and we'll see you soon.
I'll see you